I think the Falcons are easily the worst team in football right now, but I understand the Matt Ryan trade. In this video, I'm going to be discussing what the team looks like after the Matt Ryan trade, what they could potentially do in the future, and honestly discuss what the heck the Falcons have been doing for the past 2 years because they have left themselves in one of the worst situations in the entire football league, and it's rough for them right now, and I feel bad for their fans. So if we look at, the Matt Ryan trade, they're getting a third round draft pick back. And people are like, you're only getting a third round draft pick back for Matt Ryan. Matt Ryan's 36 years old. He hasn't played, MVP Matt Ryan since probably 2018, which is now 4 years ago. So it's been a while since we've seen a really, really good Matt Ryan. So I understand why the Colts, who first off, I think we're the only team interested in Matt Ryan, to be honest. And they also don't have any early draft picks, right? They traded some second round picks to get rid of Carson Wentz after using first round picks to get Carson Wentz. So they don't have that many picks to begin with. And I really don't think there's that many teams that are interested in Matt Ryan, just due to the fact that he's going to be a player that you're going to have for like potentially 2 or 3 seasons before, he's completely off a cliff if he stays on the trajectory that he's on right now. And the Colts are like the only team that is missing a quarterback and is a contender, with Matt Ryan. So it just made sense why the Falcons only got a third round draft pick back. I understand people are saying like, oh, you're getting quality starter for a third round draft pick. Like, what an absolute steal. I do think it is a steal, but realistically, it was the only option for Matt Ryan to go to the Colts, and the Colts, that was basically the best they were able to give them. I'm surprised there wasn't a later round draft pick swap at least or something like that. But nevertheless, here we are. The Falcons, a few hours later, they announced that they have signed quarterback Marcus Mariota, who is going to be reuniting with Arthur Smith, who is currently the Falcons head coach. He was the offensive coordinator with the Tennessee Titans. So he got some time, not a lot of time with Marcus Mariota. So he kind of knows, his strengths and stuff like that. We saw Arthur Smith build a really good offense with Derrick Henry and stuff like that. So we're going to see potentially how he'll incorporate Marcus Mariota maybe a little bit better into an offense. So it's going to be round 2 for these guys, see if they can get something clicking. But overall, I do think that Marcus Mariota is just a bridge gap quarterback for whoever the Falcons decide to go towards next. And the Falcons, they're in a pretty good situation based on the fact that they have the 8th overall pick. And I think they're going to have their choice of QBs. Now, we're seeing a ton of reports right now saying that a lot of teams are going to be trying to trade up into this top 10 to grab one of the quarterbacks, whether it be Kenny Pickett or Malik Willis, or I really think those are the only 2 quarterbacks that potentially could go in the top 10, to be honest. So if we're looking, I'm looking at the the mock drafts or the draft order right now. The only teams that I think are going to be willing to trade out of their spots, I think teams that are going to be willing to trade out of their spots. I don't think Jacksonville is going to trade out of it. Now, if they get an offer that blows them away, sure, of course. But I don't think any team is going to be willing to make an offer that blows anyone away because I don't think the talent in this draft just, calls for, 2 first-round draft picks, a third and a fifth. Like, I just don't think that's going to happen. So teams that I could realistically see maybe dropping back to the 8th overall pick and trading like a first and maybe the third that the Falcons just acquired for Matt Ryan could be a team like the Jets, who are picking at 10 already again. Or maybe a team even like the Texans, right? The Texans, they don't really need anybody. They need a lot of things. So trading back, getting some more compensation for them could be something that's honestly not a bad trade for them. So I could definitely see those 2 teams moving up and the Falcons, trading maybe the first and the third. I know that's not the greatest trade for those teams, but again, I don't think you're going to get a trade that blows, people away with getting like 2 first-round picks. I don't think Kenny Pickett or Malik Willis are that caliber quarterback. They're not going to be the Joe Burrow or the Justin Herbert or the Tua or the Zach Wilson or the Trevor. The list goes on and on, right? But I think the Falcons could be a really good fit for Malik Willis because if you watch this channel at all, I'm a huge Malik Willis fan. I think he's a really good quarterback. I do think he needs time to develop. Now, the biggest critique that people have said is, oh, he played against 0 competition. It was similar to what we saw with people saying with Zach Wilson last year. And I understand that argument. However, he went to Liberty, just like Zach Wilson went to BYU. When you're on a team that is playing against other teams that, might not have a ton of talent, he also has no talent around him. And I don't mean that to discredit those players, right? I'm saying it just from the fact that he's not, Bryce Young at Alabama, throwing to Jamison Williams or throwing to, or Mac Jones when he was throwing, his receivers there were incredible. So like if you're going to say that it hurts him that he's not playing against the elite competition, then it should also hurt those other quarterbacks that they are playing with that elite competition. I never understand that argument. When you see a prospect that's good, that prospect is good. I know sometimes they turn out to be busts and stuff like that, but I think a quarterback from Liberty has the same chance to be a bust as a quarterback from Alabama, and vice versa, right? They have the same opportunity to be a great quarterback in the league, given, the right structural pieces to, help them grow. Now, I think the Marcus Mariota signing, like I said in the beginning, is a bridge gap. So I could definitely see Malik Willis needing a year or two potentially to learn and grow and understand the NFL game at another level, because he didn't have that in college. The players are going to be much faster than they were, against his opponents that he's used to playing against. But we saw him do it in the Senior Bowl, and despite, the Senior Bowl, he was definitely on a team that had no offensive line. I mean, they literally got destroyed, and Malik Willis barely was able to throw the ball because he was pretty much being rushed out of the pocket every single play, which could actually be something he has to deal with in the NFL if he starts right away. But I think Malik Willis, definitely a bridge gap quarterback that could really, see Marcus Mariota, who, I don't mean to say this in a bad way, but they could potentially be similar quarterbacks, right? Malik Willis is very mobile. We saw Marcus Mariota, early in his career be a very mobile quarterback. We saw it when he was at Oregon in college as well. So I think it would actually be a really good mentor for Malik Willis. And I know Marcus Mariota's going there. He wants to, take that job, and that's his job. I understand that too. But I think Malik Willis is the perfect Falcons quarterback, because the Falcons have no talent right now. They're going to draft I think they are going to draft a quarterback, whether it's Kenny Pickett, Malik Willis, or they decide to go even later and draft like a Sam Howell or something like that. I don't see that being an option, to be honest. But the Falcons just don't have a ton of talent on the team right now. So benching your quarterback that's a first-round draft pick is not even, I don't even mean benching in a bad way, but, putting your quarterback on the bench for a year or two is not even the worst thing, because he's going to struggle, right? The most talented player on your team right now is probably Kyle Pitts or Cordell Patterson. And one other flaw that I have with the Falcons is I think Kyle Pitts is one of the best tight ends in the league, and he kind of proved that last year. However, he wasn't utilized in the offense at all. Now, I don't know if there wasn't just play designs for him, or maybe Matt Ryan just doesn't, use a tight end, which is just untrue. We saw early in his career when he had like Tony Gonzalez, for example. I know Tony Gonzalez is on a different level, but they need to get Kyle Pitts more involved in that offense. They need to let him grow and stuff like that. I think taking him 4th overall last year was just like, what are you doing? Not because he wasn't a great player. I think he was the best person you could have taken there. It's just like, what was that helping your team do? I think a tight end maybe helps a contending team or a team trying to, develop a young quarterback, which is why I think Malik Willis could be great for Kyle Pitts, or Kyle Pitts could be great for Malik Willis and stuff like that. I'm done talking about Malik Willis, right? You guys understand that I want him to go to the Falcons. I really just like Malik Willis. Every video I get a chance to talk about him, I talk about him. I love him. But the Falcons, they have a really good defense. They signed Casey Hayward Jr., which was a really interesting signing, to be honest. They paid him a ton of money. And for a team that's not contending, it was just a little odd. I know that, him and AJ Terrell are going to now create a really, really good secondary for that Falcons team. And their defense is actually looking pretty good. It's the offense that literally just has nobody. And if Cordell Patterson could do what he did this year, or last year, this year, that would be huge for that offense, even with Marcus Mariota. So I don't think they might be as bad as I was saying in the beginning. They definitely have potential to be a mediocre team. I could definitely see them being like a 6 or 7 win team. I don't think they're going to be a team that only has 2 wins. It could potentially happen because they're in the NFC South, which has the Panthers, who is another team I could talk about for 15 minutes and talk about everything they've done wrong the last 4 years. The Saints, they get Jameis Winston back as long as he stays healthy. I think they're going to be a good team. And then they have the Buccaneers, who obviously brought back Tom Brady. So they are in a pretty tough division apart from the Panthers and stuff like that. So I don't see them being, a contending playoff team this year. I think that's pretty easily acceptable for all people. But I don't think the Falcons are in a terrible position. Definitely not in the worst. They made some interesting moves over the past few years. Like I said, drafting Kyle Pitts. And there's just some other things like signing Casey Hayward. I understand now you're creating a really good secondary, but like, is that really what you want to be doing when you're a team that's not contending? It just seems weird from a lot of aspects. Let me know what you guys think the Falcons are going to be doing this offseason. Do you agree? Do you think they should draft a quarterback? Do you think they should draft Malik Willis? Do you guys agree that Malik Willis is a good fit there? If you do, let me know in the comments below. If you guys enjoyed the video, please make sure to leave a like, comment, and subscribe, and have a great day.